Istanbul is the third largest country in the world. Over 18 million people live there, and half of the city is in Asia and half is in Europe. Statistics and textbooks can tell you a lot about a place, but there's so much more to learn. Textbooks can't tell you what it feels like to have the wind blow in your face while you're on the boat in the Aegean Sea. They also can't tell you what rose tea tastes like. They can't explain what it's like to constantly be switching between the scents of cigarettes, doner kebabs, and fresh squeezed pomegranate juice while walking down one of the most busy streets in the entire world. Textbooks also can't capture the feeling of having thousands of Turkish people call out to you in the Grand Bazaar trying to get you to buy their products. Having been to 8 countries and several of the 50 states, I can give a first-hand account of how traveling has made me a better person and can make others better too. Today I want to talk about a few different topics relating to traveling. First of all, why traveling is worth your money and how to do it for cheaper. Second, how it makes you a better person. Also, how to make the most out of your time and why you should do it now. Everyone knows that traveling is one of the most expensive hobbies there is. Vacations can cost thousands of dollars for food, airfare, and lodging, plus extra spending money as well. That number can also increase if you do it through a travel company with pre-booked tours and hotels. I have the most experience with the travel companies because the tours or the trips that I have gone on are through school. According to Stuffed Suitcase, a blog dedicated to family travel, the estimated cost of transportation for a 7-day vacation for a family of 4 is $1,500. This estimate is broken into $1,200 for airfare, $200 for a rental car, and $100 for parking or shuttles. Airfare is pretty much a set price. You can adjust that a little bit depending on when you buy tickets and that kind of thing if you just watch prices. But the other ones can be flexible. Simply taking public transportation instead of renting a car or taking shuttles and taxis can significantly lower the cost. Also, according to Stuffed Suitcase, the estimated cost of accommodations for the same family would be about $1,300. Those costs can be avoided by staying in lower quality hotels or even hostels if you're abroad. Another option can be couch surfing. Couch surfing is an online community, and people lend out their homes for travelers to come and stay there for free. Since it's all online, you can leave reviews just to make sure that it's really a safe place to stay. Obviously, that wouldn't work for a family situation, but either by yourself or in a small group, that could definitely be an option. Simple changes like these can make trips more affordable. If you're traveling or staying somewhere indefinitely, working while abroad is an option. In an article titled "The Ultimate Guide to Traveling When You Have No Money," blogger Nomadic Matt gives lists of ways to earn money while abroad. Some of his options were being an au pair or a nanny, a hostel worker, a server, a farm worker, a dive instructor, a tour guide, or a cruise ship worker, among many other options. That's just a simple way to earn money while you travel. In the end, it's still going to be expensive. For me, the expense is definitely worth it because of the things I've learned and experienced. If I hadn't been willing to pay, I wouldn't be the same person I am today. If you love something enough, it's always worth it. Traveling is also worth the expense because it truly makes better people. Oftentimes, Americans have misconceptions and prejudices about other places, and usually they're subconscious. For instance, I'm from Colorado, and when I went to school in Idaho, a lot of times the first question people would ask me are like, "Oh, are people always high when you're walking down the street?" And that's just an example of a misconception people have. No, that's not true. Another example is when I went to Turkey, I was expecting it to be a very conservative Muslim country. But when I actually got there, it was very different from what I viewed as Middle Eastern countries. It was a lot more westernized. The best way to educate ourselves is to see and experience the places firsthand. Americans can also have egocentric attitudes, thinking the United States is the only good place to live, and that the world revolves around it. When you travel to a different country, you can see that that's completely not true. I found a quote on a blog in an article called 7 Reasons You Should Travel While You're Young. And in it, Sarah Hansen says, "Traveling sometimes puts you in tough situations. You see that the world is so much bigger than your perspective on it. You soon realize the world doesn't revolve around you. You learn that you really weren't the big fish in the ocean, but just a tiny minnow in a pothole." And I really like that quote because that's exactly how I feel about it. If you travel and make the most of your time, you can gain a passion for life and learning. This is important for making people happier and more successful. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been happier than when I was traveling on my Mediterranean tour. It just made me a better person. Traveling also makes for more well-rounded people. It's kind of fun to be one of the most interesting people in the room because of the experiences you've had. It's fun to say, oh, that reminds me of that time that I was in Turkey, or that time I was in France, and tell a story. It can also help you get a job or make friends because you become relatable in a different way. In another blog post called 7 Reasons Why Exactly You Should Travel, Cody Delastrati said a study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology reported that studying and living abroad changes personality for the better. And I can definitely attest to that because I felt like I changed, and definitely for the better. This only works if you make the most of your time. So how does one do that? When you get to a new place, it's tempting to spend a day catching up on sleep and resting so that you'll be prepared for the rest of the trip. This might be a really good intention because you want to, be able to be energized for the day. However, this starts off your adventure with sleep as one of the highest priorities. Yes, sleep is important, but if it's your first priority, you'll miss out. The last thing you want to do is come home regretting something you didn't do. I had the opportunity to go to Europe when I was in high school, and one of the nights, we had finished all of our activities for the day, and a group of students decided that they wanted to go out and find something interesting that Paris had to offer. I was really tired that day, and I just needed to rest, and so I stayed in. And that's one of my biggest regrets. They had some crazy adventure where they got lost, and all this stuff happened, but it was really fun, and I missed out on that. So when I had the opportunity to go to the Mediterranean, I decided that I didn't want to have any regrets coming back. So every night, after all the activities were done, me and a group went out and we found whatever that city was. We found whatever it had to offer and just did random things. We spontaneously hiked mountains, and it was great, and I don't regret anything. Another way to make the most of your time is to keep a travel journal. This is really important for having those memories as keepsakes. It's easy to say that someday you will travel, but make that day today. If an opportunity comes, take it. I almost didn't go to the Mediterranean because I didn't think the timing was right. I was going back to school and it just didn't really make sense at the time. But then I thought, when am I ever going to have the chance to do this again? And in reality, I might not. You don't know what life will throw at you in 5 years from now either. Maybe you want to travel in 5 years, but life happens and you don't have those opportunities anymore. If you take the time now, you won't regret it. So in conclusion, if you can't afford to travel, find a way to do it for cheaper, and it will always be worth the money. Don't pass up good opportunities. When you get the chance, don't waste your time. Live life to the fullest and take advantage of the opportunity you've been given. Do all of this because traveling will make you a happier and better person. From an anonymous author on storypick.com, from an article called 13 Reasons Why You Should Travel More, there was a quote I really liked. It says, "We often feel like we are bound to all the things around us, a job, money, society. In reality, we're the ones keeping ourselves tied down to these things. Traveling opens our eyes to many possibilities and teaches us that we can get up and leave if something bogs us down, and that nothing can control us if we won't let it." Thank you.